What if the person you loved had been hiding a dark secret from you all along? One night, a simple comment at a bar spirals into a shocking discovery. Secrets, betrayal, and a twisted truth unfold, leaving one woman questioning everything she thought she knew. Stay tuned to find out how this story of deception will change everything. For 2 years, my relationship with Eric had been pretty normal. Nothing too crazy, no huge fights, just two people living their lives together. It was the kind of relationship that felt like a calm, steady wave with the occasional ripple. But everything changed one night, at a bar, with a simple comment. We were hanging out with Eric's friend Mark and a few others. It was a fun, lighthearted evening, drinks, jokes, and the usual chatter. That is, until Eric made a joke about Mark eating too much. "Careful, Mark, you'll eat the whole damn bar," Eric laughed. Mark's response, however, was unsettling. He turned to me and said, "If only she knew." A cold shiver ran down my spine. Something about his tone made me uneasy, like there was a secret I wasn't aware of. The table fell silent for a brief moment. Mark's words hung in the air like a storm cloud, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I glanced at Eric, but he didn't seem fazed. In fact, he laughed it off like it was nothing, but it wasn't nothing. Mark's comment had planted a seed of doubt. I couldn't ignore it. "Eric, what did Mark mean by that?" I asked after a while. Eric's smile faded and his eyes darkened. I could feel his anger rising before he even said anything. "Drop it," he snapped. "You're just being paranoid." But I couldn't let it go. The more I thought about it, the more I felt like I was being kept in the dark. Eric's temper flared again. His words were getting louder, more forceful. "You need to drop it. You're being paranoid, and I'm tired of this," he snapped. But I wasn't being paranoid. I was asking a simple question, trying to get clarity. Every time I asked, Eric seemed to get angrier. Eventually, he stormed out of my apartment, slamming the door behind him. The noise reverberated in my ears, and I stood there feeling like I was losing my mind. I locked the door, trying to calm myself down. My heart was racing. I didn't know what to do. The next morning, Eric's anger didn't subside. Instead of an apology, I got a string of angry texts. "You need to stop. I'm done with this," they read. "Leave me alone. You're blowing things out of proportion." I stared at the screen, unsure of how to respond. I wasn't overreacting, was I? I wasn't asking for anything unreasonable. All I wanted was some honesty, but I was getting nothing but more anger. That was when it hit me. This wasn't just about Mark's comment anymore. There was something much bigger at play. It wasn't until later that day that the truth came crashing down. Mark called me, and I stepped outside to take the call. I had no idea what was coming next. Mark's voice was grave, and his words chilled me to the core. "Eric's been putting other men's semen into your food, in your drinks, your skincare, your toothpaste, everything." I couldn't breathe. I thought I misheard him. "What? What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice trembling, but Mark was clear. He went on to explain that Eric had been secretly hooking up with other men and using their semen in my daily products like some sick joke. I was frozen. My mind couldn't process the horror. Mark went on to explain that he had known for about a week but hadn't told me sooner. A week? I had been living my life, trusting Eric, while all of this was happening behind my back. Mark insisted he didn't have anything to do with it, and in a twisted way he even made a joke about how he wouldn't touch Eric anymore. Who knows what diseases he's carrying? The nausea in my stomach was overwhelming. I couldn't fathom what I was hearing. My mind raced, and I suddenly felt so small, so utterly betrayed. "I'm getting tested," I said, my voice shaking. "I don't know what I've been exposed to." I hung up the phone and immediately felt the urge to check my kitchen, as Mark had suggested. I opened the cabinets, and there they were, hidden behind cleaning supplies, the cups. I couldn't breathe. I stood there, staring at the evidence of Eric's betrayal. He had used my food, my drinks, my very life as part of some twisted game. I felt my stomach turn, and everything in the kitchen, everything in my apartment suddenly felt contaminated. I couldn't stand the thought of eating or drinking anything from my own home anymore. I couldn't hold it in any longer. My body was trembling as I threw everything away, every single thing. I emptied the trash, tossed out the food in the fridge, the toiletries in the bathroom. Nothing was safe. I felt like my entire life had been turned upside down. The apartment, which had once felt like my sanctuary, now felt like a prison. Everything about my home felt wrong. I couldn't even walk into the kitchen without feeling like I was going to throw up. Days passed and I found myself in a constant state of shock. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Eric's face, and then I saw the cups. The thought of what had been happening behind my back consumed me. I stopped eating at home. I couldn't even look at the food I was supposed to enjoy. How could I? It was tainted by lies, by manipulation, by a betrayal so deep it was suffocating. How had I been so blind? The fallout from all of this wasn't just with Eric. He had gone to our mutual friends, spreading lies about me. He was telling everyone I left him for no reason. Some of our friends even reached out to me, telling me I should just let it go, that I was overreacting. But how could I let it go? How could I just move on from something like this? I had to know more. I couldn't just accept what Mark had told me, so I began searching through everything, texts, emails, anything that could confirm what Eric had been doing. The deeper I dug, the more I found. The lies piled up, the manipulation, the twisted games. Eric had been using me, laughing behind my back while I trusted him with everything. I was disgusted. Every new piece of information felt like a punch to the gut. I tried to talk to Eric one last time, hoping for some form of honesty, some shred of decency, but he was still the same, defensive, angry, refusing to admit what he had done. "You're crazy," he kept saying. "You're just making things up." I was done. I wasn't going to let him gaslight me anymore. I blocked Eric. I cut ties with him completely. I couldn't be around someone who had treated me like that. But the aftermath wasn't easy. Every little thing reminded me of him. His scent, his touch. The betrayal felt like it was everywhere. I tried to go on with my life, but I couldn't escape the damage he had done. I went to therapy trying to make sense of what had happened. How could I have missed the signs? How could I have trusted someone so completely? The therapist helped me understand that the blame wasn't mine. Eric had manipulated me, played on my emotions, and I had been too trusting. I wasn't crazy for asking questions. I wasn't crazy for wanting the truth. It wasn't easy, but eventually I began to find my footing again. I stopped thinking about Eric every second. Slowly I started to heal bit by bit. The memories of our good times together faded, replaced by a deeper understanding of who I was. I was stronger than I had realized. As time went on, I came to understand just how deeply Eric's actions had affected me. He had violated my trust in a way I never thought possible. It wasn't just about the semen, it was about the lies, the manipulation, and the complete lack of respect. It was the emotional abuse that had hurt the most, the constant gaslighting. Eventually, I realized I was stronger than I had ever given myself credit for. I had been through hell, but I had survived. I wasn't going to let Eric or anyone take that away from me. I started to rebuild my life piece by piece. I focused on my friends, my work, and my own happiness. I'll never forget what Eric did. I'll never forget the betrayal, the lies, and the pain, but I'm learning to move on. I'm learning to trust myself again. And as I look ahead, I know that I am worthy of love that is real, love that is honest, trustworthy, and kind. I deserve that and nothing less.